live in your currency. Splurging millions, buying houses like Monopoly.
So guys and girls, today's podcast I want to talk about, I have a lot of people that write in, and it's really cool to see young guys and girls kicking ass in 2021. You know, like, I feel like I'm an old bastard now, but I was young once. And a lot of people ask, you know, Nathan, is it still possible to retire in my 20s? And there's so many comments. Like when I do my Instagram lives or my Facebook lives, I see these little kids that write in there, hey, I'm 15 and I'm motivated to get started. I like what you've done. And they still follow all the old stuff from 15, 20 years ago. And, it's really, really cool. So today I decided I wanted to dedicate a whole podcast to how to retire before 30. So there's lots of people out there that are maybe listening. They might be 18, 17, 20, 22, 24, whatever, going, how can I replicate what you've done in today's, world? Because things are very different today than what they were back, 20 years ago. So you're looking at it, like for those of you that don't know, I was able to retire from the workforce in the middle of the GFC at the age of 24. So how I got into property was quite unique. So at the age of 13, my brothers were like 15, 20 years older than me. They were buying a house to live in for their first house. And I was like, I want to be cool. I want to buy a house. But then some reason I thought, like, when I finished school, like the average wage was about 40 grand, 50 grand a year back then. And this was in 1998. And I thought, how can I ever buy a property? So I was looking at the rental returns. I thought, imagine if you had a tenant, the tenant could pay for it. And I wanted to be rich. And rich people had property. So I was like, property is my vehicle. How do I get it to make me rich? And I built a strategy where I wanted to have 10 properties by the age of 30 that were going to bring me a cash flow. Say if they're $100 each per week, positive cash flow, that'd be $100 a week times 10, $1,000 a week. $1,000 a week's better than an average wage. So that was what I set out to achieve. And, I built a business plan around it. I built a strategy that was going to see me be able to, use those properties as a vehicle to get me to where I wanted to be. And a lot of people nowadays are like, but property was half the price of what it is today. Property was a quarter of the price of what it was today. I can't do that. You can do that. I've seen people do it. Doesn't matter if they're, in their early 20s or in their mid 30s or in their mid 40s or even close to 60. I've seen people do that. And starting from scratch over a period of 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I've seen many people do it. I've seen dozens, if not hundreds of people be able to do it in their own personal life. So I guess, some of the questions might be is like, how do I build wealth as a teenager? It might be 10, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Well, have clarity, have a plan, have a strategy. Like, you guys are young, so most people are planning for how they're going to go on a bender next weekend, how they're going to pop some MDMA or I don't know, whatever people are doing at parties. But and not planning about their future. Like, people planning their next holiday, but they're not planning, what they're going to do as a career. They just go, oh, I've got to go to uni, I've got to get some good grades, I've got to get myself into 100 grand worth of debt or 50 grand worth of debt before ever earning a cent of money, and not even knowing if I want to do that in the next 5-10 years. So there's lots of useless sort of uni degrees out there where people have bought into the system of going, okay, I've got to get a uni degree, and now I've got all this debt that I've got to pay off, but I've got no income, and I hate that job that I did a uni degree on, which is really, really silly. So for me, I actually had a unique situation offering, and I've never spoken about this before today, but when I was like 16, my dad died of a heart attack, and in his super fund, he had something that said that if he had a child of school age up until the age of 25, that they would get paid, I think it was about $30,000 a year to go to uni as a tuition fee. They didn't question, as long as you're a full-time student, you got this money. And my mum was like, you go to university, you've got this money, it'll pay for university and whatever. I said, no, Mum, I do not want to go. I've just had to spend 12 years of a government indoctrination camp teaching me and brainwashing me what to do, how to be, how to walk, how to do things. I don't want to go to university. So my mum even tried, bribed me, for a better word. A cool car back in the day, there was this thing called a Honda S2000. I thought it was cool until I went to sit in one day, and I'm so tall, like I don't even fit in the car. But anyway, it's the funny part of it. But I had the opportunity to get free university. I turned it down because I was like, A, it's wasting my time. B, I want to get into investing. If I'm going to spend the next 5 years in uni, I'm not going to be earning 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 grand a year. So I can't buy property. So that was my straight up choice of going, I'm not going to go. It doesn't matter that I'm getting paid to go to uni. I don't even want you to pay me to go to uni. That was the opportunity that I had in my life, and I chose not to. And that's not saying uni's bad or people shouldn't go to uni or anything like that. So before people start grilling me on that front, that's a choice for everybody. But spending so much money, it's not just the money, it's that you've got the youth on your side. You could be earning an income. When I quit my job at 24, most of my mates were finishing uni, right? They were going to get their first job, and I'd quit my job. So I used property as a vehicle to get me to where I wanted to be. And that was the cool thing. People told me I was off my head. People told me I was stupid. Like, you still get people today, oh, you're stupid, that's not going to happen, whatever. Whatever weird shit that comes out of my mouth. But there's a plan behind it. There's a strategy. I've always got a plan. I've always got a strategy. I've always got clarity on where I'm going. So if you're young or old, it doesn't matter. Take the time to plan. Take the time to have strategy. Most people never get the time to plan a strategy. People are planning for cheap thrills. People are planning to, have a little high in their life. But, that's not going to get them fulfillment. That's not going to get them happiness. I've seen it for decades, right? And, if you're young, you've got more time. You've got more opportunity. I realized the compounding effect of me being able to purchase assets when I was younger, the growth that they would have in those years, I'd far outstrip all of my peers that I went to school with because of the fact of the hard work that I put in the day. I worked 2 full-time jobs. I was happy to work like shit. I was happy to eat shit. I was happy to take what was thrown my way because I knew I had clarity on my strategy. And what that was that I needed to get 10 properties by the age of 30. I had no idea on how to get there. There was no internet. There was no podcast. There was no, realestate.com. There was no help. Like, everything had to be done manually. It was a very different world. So if, someone's sitting there to go, it was so easy for you back then, it was fucking painful. You got more opportunities now than what I ever had when I first started. But, you've got information at your fingertips. You've got the ability to hustle online. You've got the ability to build multiple streams of income. So plan, what do you need to do? So if you're starting off today going, okay, I'm 10, 12, 15, 20, whatever, make sure you know what you want from your life. Like, go by the age of 30, I want to be in a house, I want to be married, I want my kids, I want to, whatever it is that you want to plan. Don't be too, focused on all the intricate parts, but have clarity, like, what is it going to cost you? You can sit there and say, I want to be a bazillionaire, but that's stupid as well because, bazillion isn't even a real word, but, people just go extreme. Like, the first step I think everybody should have is being able to provide for himself and not be enslaved into a job. Everybody gets told and programmed to become a tax slave, whatever the wage is, whether you're on 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand a year, you're still trapped by that money. The money is controlling you. So if you can take away the need for the money and you can, build yourself a plan and a strategy to be able to replace income that's not you working for the income, you're going to be an active person working in your life. You want to, for what you don't want to be is that. But what the opportunity is and what everybody should be striving to do is become a passive investor. And passive investor trying to, collect cash flow streams and, whether it be dividends from investing in shares or businesses, whether it be rents coming through from properties in a property portfolio, whether it be from some stuff coming from cryptocurrency, being sort of, staking and different ways that you can make money online. There was no such thing as cryptocurrencies when I was born. If cryptocurrency was around back when I started investing, I probably would have speculated in that a little bit as well and made some money and made deposits. But, that wasn't an option at that point. So work out, where's your income stream going to come from? If you need 50 grand a year, how can you get 50 grand a year? What do you need to replace a 50 grand a year income? 50 grand a year is $1,000 a week. So all you need to do is find something that's going to give you $1,000 a week. If you can buy a property that's going to give you $300 a week, you need 3 of those properties or 4 of those properties. So work out a plan to go and buy yourself 3 or 4 properties. Do that in your 20s. If you're broke in your 20s, it's fine. If you're broke in your 30s, you're starting to get fucked. If you're broke in your 40s, then it's really fucking hard and you're going to be retiring when you're sort of 50 or 60 because suddenly in your 20s, you've got no expenses. You can stay at home, you don't have kids, all that sort of stuff. You don't have all this debt that's accumulated over time. You've got the compounding effect to make it happen. If you're doing it in your 30s, well, then you might have, a child and a missus to look after, or a child and a husband to look after, whatever the case may be. Looking at, if you do it in your 40s, your bills and your expenses are going up so high, you're at your prime earning income, and you've got all these expenses, and you're sort of trapped by that point. So, and I don't mean that in any bad way for people that are in their 40s, because it certainly helped so many people in their age. But I'm just saying, if you're in your 20s, you've got an advantage. Like, don't tell yourself that you don't have an advantage. A person in their 40s might have 300 grand in equity in a property, or 400 grand in equity, or 100 grand in equity, which a 20-year-old may not. So there is other advantages at whatever stage, but you need to look at what are your strengths. What is your strength as a 20-year-old over a person that's 45? You've got 40 years of earning capacity ahead of you. You've got youth on your side. You've got higher income that you can earn in the future. If you're someone in your 40s, then you've got, probably got some equity in some property. You've probably got a higher income at this point in time. So no matter where you're at, you just need to work out what are your strengths for yourself in that period of time, and work backwards to get yourself a strategy that's going to get you to where you want to be. But identifying that, people don't identify it. So take the time out. Like, if you're 10-year-old, you're 20-year-old, you're 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old, work out where am I going to be in the future, right? Like, what do I need to do to get there? Who is the person I need to become to get there? If you have clarity on where you're going, the world will stand aside for the person who knows where they're going. If you've got clarity, you'll know how to deflect. You go, this isn't in line with where I'm going. I'm not going to make that dumb decision. That's not in line with helping me be that better person. I'm not going to involve myself with that stupidity. Bad shit happens every day of the week. If you let it involve you, then you get caught up in it. If you deflect it and you go, no, it's not in line, you have confidence. You can navigate shit like you're Neo in the Matrix. And that's what helps you perform on a higher level and helps you get closer to where you want to be. And, I think, no matter where you're at in your journey, have clarity and take action. Like, so many people, have clarity, but they don't take action. They just end up in a, shit pile of confusion and, make silly decisions and quick, cheap thrills and, quick escapes. And, it's unfulfilling, and they're always looking for something that's going to be greater, but it's never going to come. So, I think, taking that action, probably the most wealthiest place in the world is a graveyard, because people have died with their dreams, their vision, their life still in them, regret, things they didn't do, things they wish they did. Time is now. Like, time's not getting any slower. As you get older, you've got the compounding of your subconscious mind, remembering all your old memories, so things do speed up. But looking at how to retire, that should be number one thing on everybody's priority. Imagine if the schooling system turned around and goes, I'll talk about the 12-year indoctrination camp that everyone should be worried about. That's just forcing people to become into communism and enslavement. But, if we're looking at what schooling system and education should be, it should be teaching everybody to go, okay, how can I live life the way I want it to be? How can I live life, free? How can I live life, but providing something to society, but doing the hard work and, being smarter about it? They never teach you about anything like this. They're never going to show you how to get out of their system. They want you trapped in the system. That's what it's designed for. But, there is ways to use the system to your benefit, right? So work out where you sit, what you want for yourself. Like, be an investor, be a business owner, do whatever it is. But make sure that when you do work out what it is that you want to achieve and what it is that you want to be, that you do take action. Because if you don't take action, it's pointless. It's even stupider than not having a plan. At least the person without a plan can say, oh, I didn't know what I was not doing. If you have a plan, you have a strategy, you're not taking action, then you're a dickhead, because you're letting that opportunity go by and you're hurting yourself deliberately. You know what you need to do, but you're just not doing it. It's laziness. It's, and that's the result of where you are. Like, the options, the choices that you make and the things that you do will ultimately determine as to where you get. And, it's not about money. Sometimes people get it confused that, Nathan wants money and he does stuff for money or whatever. Like, for me, I hate money. It's just the freedom. It's the options. It's the choices. It's the decisions that I can make today and amplify that and compound that into the future to get me the result I want in the future. It's forward planning. It's forward thinking. Just like any successful business does. They have clarity. They have strategy. They have planning. They take action. They move in different markets. That's why I always say, treat your investing like a business. And one last note, guys and girls, I've got a little freebie here for you. We live in a world where we've got, this centralized media, centralized censored, communist, totalitarian, fascist world that we live in, everything's being censored, and finding information, finding truth is getting harder and harder to do. I've got a free. I've got it all stored in one place, which you can find quite easily at birchfeed.com. So check it out. It's free. You don't even need to be a tight ass, right? There's no need for a credit card, no need for information. Just enter your details and you get access to Birchfeed at birchfeed.com. Basically, what I do there is when I come across information that I'm reading, watching, researching, I post. It's a closed-knit group of people, and I just post my thoughts, my beliefs, my opinion on whatever it is that I'm reading and watching, and I share it out with the community. You can get access to it, like even if it's just, you've got choices today. As we talked about today, you've got choices. You can either choose to watch TV, you can choose to watch Netflix, you can choose to just go and party and have some drinks, or you can choose to use that same time and energy and effort to put into something to improve yourself. And this information that I watch, I believe it helps me personally. That's why I like to share my thoughts and my knowledge and all that sort of stuff with everyone. It's for free, so go and check it out. And if you need help with anything, you know where to find us. Catch up soon. Keep being awesome, everyone. Bye for now.